get right. Okay. Okay. So, welcome back to part 2 of the ApiBuddy Ruby Gem. So, yeah, so this is my first time streaming live coding. So, yeah, what I thought I'd do is put together a gem in essentially 4 parts. So, part 1, and this is the gem here. You can go to my GitHub and you can check it out. It's not actually sort of right now. It doesn't really do much anything just yet, but the idea is that this gem is born from a lot of pain that I have in my day job, and I know that a lot of fellow developers have. We develop move from HTML into more sort of mobile applications and single page apps and things. It feels like we're generating HTML less and less, and these sort of huge JSON APIs that often need to be versioned, often have strange authentication. There's weird stuff going on sometimes, and often you have like 2 separate teams, and like for instance Android or iOS development team, and they're an API that and all the teams are constantly sort of iterating, and there's very little guarantee as to what you get. So if you read through this, basically the whole idea is that we DSL that's a little bit like to generate sort of a data structure that represents what we think our API should look like, right? So we should be able to take that data structure, Markdown, and for teams that rely on our API before we've even built it, right? Because we want to get that stuff into their hands as soon as possible. And so the next step after is actually to build from that data structure a rack, a mountable rack application that should be able to live alongside your Rails application, and sort of just whenever an not fully implemented yet, this rack application should be able to step up and say, oh, I know you haven't built out this endpoint, but I have documented. I know roughly what the endpoint's supposed to look like. I know what names the attributes are going to have and what type they're going to be, so I can step in invisibly, sort of. And obviously, like, we will make it pretty obvious to our clients when this is happening, and we almost definitely don't want this to happen in production. So this is generally for a staging server or development servers, or yeah. Final step of this project that I'm envisioning will be taking that same data structure that we build with the DSL and generating a suite of tests automatically for it. So yeah, so this is what basically we've just finished part 1 here, which is constructing this. We can define endpoints, describe them, have nested on objects, and the attributes on those objects. We can give optional examples, which will be for the documentation and the tests. Not so much tests, actually, no. Yeah. So yeah, we're just about to embark on this trip, which is taking our data structure that we generate, running it through a sort of documentation generator that we're about to build, and spitting out some Markdown, which is going to cost us, I don't know, I mean, it's going to be a bit rough. We're just going to bash something out, something useful. I mean, I don't expect this to be used in the near future, but yeah, I plan to to maintain this in the long run, depending on. Hopefully, I can get some from the community, and yeah, it could be pretty cool. Yeah, and then we've just got this example. This is sort of maybe how I envision we can mount an API definition file. We just basically I want to be able to in our routes just be able to mount it, and that's going to just sort of fill in the gaps of our API. And yeah, finally we want to generate dynamic. So we don't want to generate. Maybe that's the wrong word, because we don't want to be like a Rails generator where we're generating we don't want the actual Ruby files. Essentially, we want to just be able to dynamically build tests. We don't want to like generate Ruby files and have these big files and all our tests. No, we just want it to like a one-liner or something, hopefully. So yeah, so let's get started on the second part of the system. Okay, so I was just pushing in the background. I was just pushing up to GitHub. So we've got a fixture here. In our specs here. So it creates a post in the database. We might want to do a JSON child just to exercise that functionality a little bit, and give it an attribute of author ID, which is going to be an integer maybe, and an attribute which is going to be a comment, and it's like the default. So I think we can remove this string. I think it's a pretty healthy default to have and keep things terse. Okay, so we're going to have run this through our DSL interpreter, generate the data structure. We're calling it a definition. So we've got our data model is all contained within this one. And so the definition is sort of like the root. I might add some class comments here. So a model def is the root of the DSL. It contains multiple endpoints which themselves contain perhaps attributes. Alright, so that's going to be like our entry point, not our entry point, sorry, but that's going to be sort of, yeah, the entry point into our data structure. It's really just like looping over the endpoints probably and generating some documentation. Okay, we're going to start off with an extension spec. So our DSL builder feature sort of is contained in here. So we want to, this is sort of an entirely different module, I suppose. So this is going to be our documentation generator. Module particularly complex, so I'm guessing we'll probably get most of the way there with a single acceptance spec. So maybe we can just call it something simple for now. It can be generating documentation spec. Okay. So aspect.describe generating documentation from a model definition object, right? So we've got our fixture path, which is spec fixtures. What's the name of it? Posts, endpoints aren't there. Okay. Okay, and we want our definition equal. So if I remember rightly, we've got a ApiBuddy DSL.interpret method. Okay, and then from within here, I think we can just load. Can you load relative? No. I think you can. Oops, all over the show. So that's going to be our, and so now I think that the subject of the spec is going to be, we're going to take the API buddy documenter, yeah, and we are going to, I suppose we build and we're going to give it this definition object, and it should be a string, right? We can always pipe it out to a file later on. Cool, so we have our first error here, and so to fix, I'm going to put my specs down the bottom here. We are going to write another spec, but this time create documenter. Okay, and we're going to create a file in here that's going to be the actually so this is going to be a top level documenter spec. So this is actually going to be a module function, I believe. Spec.describe. So because this is a, I'm going to make sure that I think I'm recording. I hope I'm recording. Let's just check. So yeah, because this unit spec and spec, I'm quite comfortable to stub out most of the interaction with the data model that we've generated. So let's just have a look how we get here. Aspect describe, and we're going to describe the documenter module, right? That's going to be really distracting. Okay, so we want to describe the build method. Remember the dot syntax for class and module functions. So the subject is going to be the described class, even though we're describing a module, I don't know. Dot build, and we're going to get definition, right? And it should or string. I know I'm repeating myself here, but we'll see. We'll see. Definition, but this, I mean, this is going to be all stubbed. So this is just going to be a double of the definition. Actually, I might try aspect fire. Okay, so the next step, obviously, what we need to do is so at this step, I'll clean it up later. This sort of index file of the structure of the project visible. Nope, not German. A documenter. So that's most of the way there, I think. Nope. A documenter. We haven't actually built the original file. Yeah, so if I create documenter, open that up, we want to add the module ApiBuddy. I know it's a terrible name, but yeah, no, I'm not going to waste. I'll come up with something clever if it gets popular. Version 2.0 can be like, I don't know. I'm terrible with this stuff. Okay. Cool. So we just want to implement build, and to make this available from outside the module, we just want to make this a module function. I don't see a lot of people using this, but you should. It's really, really cool. Right. Anyway, so DSL diff okay. I suppose that we can just it's kind of dirty, but let's just see what do we get there. Nope, of course not. I'm getting a bit confused. Okay. So why is main not operating under the context? Wait, I'm pretty sure that's how it's supposed to work. I don't use load a lot in Ruby, so Ruby load. Load the string and instance of valid or something, but that's kind of dirty. Local variables. Load. If we can just add this like method maybe where we interpret the file instead of like loading it in this context. So if we go, so we're going to need to add this to our DSL spec, right? So scribe interpret file, right? and okay, we just want to interpret file and give it was it spec fixtures posts endpoints dot rb. Okay, and okay, we should have the same output. We should get back. Okay. Okay, build definition, right? Interpret file needed. Interpret file, and we have a file name. Okay, and let's have a look if we can do something like this. But we actually want to do this. I don't know if that will work. Oh, interesting. Okay, so now documenter should return a string, right? And empty string, if I'm not wrong, is valid markdown. should be a string. Where is that coming from? Documenter spec should be. Cool. That's fantastic. So I'm really curious to see whether this is correct. Ah, well, it's working. That is. I am very happy about that. Okay. There's a section here. I'm happy with how it is, but we can clear it up later if it becomes. So this pattern here, using these module functions at a high level, mean that we can more effectively introduce boundaries between our modules, right? Because I think this project in particular boundaries. In most projects, you usually won't have come up with those boundaries beforehand. They will develop naturally if they develop at all, and it can be a real issue in larger projects because yeah, sometimes those boundaries just don't seem to come up, and you end up just building everything in the same namespace. You end up with so much terminology, same level of abstraction, it becomes a mess. But this this pattern helps because it essentially means that anything that's not inside our DSL should only be interfacing with if into the module and grabbing sort of inner classes and manipulating them, then generally that's a sign that your architecture is a little bit off. So yes, okay. Back to our integration spec. Sorry, acceptance spec. So we expect. Let's bring up our fixture here. We expect this string to be present, right? It includes the endpoints description. It's probably not the first spec to begin with. Oh, anyway, let's just do it. So should include bonk, right? So we could probably the most quickest way to happiness. Okay, so let's have a look here. The documenter, Okay, so I'm guessing that when we get a definition, the first thing we sort of want to do is create. So the way that I this architecture, just this module, is that I think that all our documenter objects are going to be essentially simple delegate, which is a class provided by I think. So what a simple delegating class does is it takes an instance, a single argument when you create it, and it delegates every to that object. You define your own methods that sort of override it. So I'm wondering if something like a definition documenter, right? And what we really want to do is just call 2s on that. I think that's what we want. Let's try this. Okay, so here we go. We've got spec. So before we write a class, we want a unit test for it. And we want a definition document. And we want to quickly we want to open our ApiBuddy and just include this here. Definition documenter. So we have module API. We have module documenter. And we have a class which is going to be a definition document. Oops, I forgot to write the spec first. No. This is supposed to be the spec. So we want to rspec.describe our and the subject is going to be an instance. And then of the described, and it's going to get a definition thrown in, and we're going to set the definition. We can start with a, this is a unit test as well, so we can start with a double. Get, so let's reload, our spec. Okay, ApiBuddy document definition. Yeah, we forgot to actually implement. So let's bring the specs down here, and let's create file documenter, create file def document. Okay, so ApiBuddy module documenter. We have a definition documenter. Right. Okay. Here we've got essentially this. This is not taking the correct thing. So what we're going to do is actually not going to implement initialize. We're going to implement simple delegator, and that should make us pass. So rspec. So we're actually already passing this this first spec, this acceptance spec, because definition object, if we open it up, I implemented its toS function here. And so the endpoints are going to also implement the toS, and so we're actually just going to the output. If I print this, you should. We've got the definition here. And we've got the get, and we've got the so yeah. But this isn't Markdown. I don't know how. There's a Markdown. Oops. Markdown B. Ooh. How many stars? Ah, okay. So it's reasonable. Cool. Okay. So we could use test our down for compatibility, or styles or something. So yeah, I think I'm going to bring this into my project. I mean, it seems pretty reliable. It has tests, I guess. Yeah, set up test. Yeah, okay. I'm going to trust this. Wonder if that's the gem name. It's going to work. Do as we go. Add a dependency. It's not a development dependency. Oh, is it? Yeah. Okay. Let's add. No, you're right. Yeah. I don't know. I can't hear you. Right. Anyway, so we're only going to use it for tests right now, but I think we might want to use this later on, just to make sure that in production, if we ever do. No, okay, so we can just GitHub. And might be a good. Can you do tag? Let's just see if that works. Huh. Okay. So suppose we can add it to our bundle. So gem, and we just add GitHub, downlint. Wait, let's search on Ruby gems and just make sure that I'm not missing something. Why don't you publish your gems? I suppose it's probably not. Really? Ah, it's MDL. Oh, okay. MDL. I can get rid of this. Oh, that's silly. Okay. So how are we going to use this? I think MDL. Probably just shell out to it. I mean, we probably don't. Just trying to think whether it's worth it. No, I mean, we. What's the network look like? Forked this and done some work. Print rule. Huh. Run. I don't really want to this Ruby program, but let's try it. Let's see what happens if I do specify. No, I can't show it because it's not a file, is it? Oops. Now I'm probably just gonna punt on this actually. Yeah. Oops. Oh well. I mean, because I'm not. It's not a. Yeah. Okay. So let's just say. How do I test it's a valid markdown? Suppose I don't. So let's just say like it includes the correct endpoint title. Right, so fixtures. The correct endpoint title is going to be hash hash API post. Right, so that will fail. Okay, so now let's go into our definition document and define 2s. I suppose it's 2md, isn't it? And we can alias method s to 2md, I suppose. Yeah, let's do that. Just okay. So I suppose what we want in the beginning is endpoints.each do and we just want the hash hash dot p method dot uppercase with a and the okay. So I'm guessing what we really want is map this with endpoint documenter.new. So now we don't have to so all the formatting is going to occur in this delegated class. So we can say, in fact, we could probably just say endpoint.title. That's sort of what we want. So just get a clean failure dot Where definition? Yeah. So this double is not going to get us very far. So because of the way that simple delegator works. But that's good. I mean, we're not hitting the database, so it's okay. Endpoints divisional, but yeah, this one we can easily fix. So let's copy this and have an endpoint document, right? Okay, and we want to give it an endpoint. And its title should be a string. String. I mean, actually, it should match this regex. Hash a word, backtick more stuff. Hold on, I'm not so crash hot on some of this. Rubula is a really good site for building regular expressions in Ruby. So we've got dump post API posts backtick. Okay, correct, I think. Let's just save this out as an endpoint documenter. Point documenter. And we want a title. And the title is, as we said, hash to be our HTTP method. Is going to be our path surrounded in backticks. And we can define HTTP method to be the super, so like, because in uppercase, and you can just leave the same. So the first reason we're going to get is because we are not including this here. Endpoint documenter. Okay, and endpoint documenter, that's very odd. Okay, so look, we now have interesting. Okay, so our endpoint documenter is going to give us this endpoint, and I suppose the next part here, our definition document. So we want the endpoint title to MD, right? That's so we can map to MD. and then that will be joined. So let's just do point. Okay. And just join that together with some new lines. Suppose we can just do this as well to save us that. Okay. 10 failures. Oh dear. Okay, so endpoint spec. Endpoint needs a path. So here's API test. So that's the first one. Our endpoint document is say 2MD. Public method we really need. We can hide the rest. So it can be our title, our description, our example, and we can join that together. So new lines. Right, so title is easy. Description I think we don't need, it's already present. And we just example. So example I guess is going to be like JavaScript. And I suppose we're just going to have like something going on here. Okay, I should post and not get. Post. Very odd. Definition documenter. Documenter spec. I think this is sure the double, yeah. So let's just create a definition. Sorry, excuse me, I know it's probably a bit loud in the microphone. Okay, so we have a model. Don't use. I don't think anything. Cool. All right. So so I think that our issue, well, not our. I think a pattern that we're going to want here is to have a documenter, because I'm envisioning a few helpers that will be shared between other objects in our application. So what is going to end up looking a bit like this. And probably just want to do def to MD. Now this is sort of just for completeness' sake. there shouldn't be any methods defined on our children that the base doesn't implement. Even if it implements it poorly, it's okay. But yeah, so that's so. Okay. So we want to have a line, and then we have a description line, and then we need to bring in our base documenter. If anyone's watching. Definition builder. Sorry, I'm just checking on Reddit and stuff and see if anyone is. One comment. And it's deleted. Oh well, okay, so let's get back to it. Why? Okay. Inspect doesn't. Okay. So look, base documenter. Okay, let's just. Right, that's 2S. Hopefully. Nope. Okay. Just do that. Cool. So let's just exit out and make sure we have a clean. I don't know, for some reason my spec's doubling up here. Yeah. So let's run all the specs. One failure. Okay. Out our tabs here and find what's. So it's the generating documentation thing. Okay. So what's happening? So this should be post. This should be post. So what's happening? I was having the same one. For some reason, the post and the get were getting mixed up. I have an idea. Maybe in the fixtures we forgot. That's it. That's it. Okay, so because method used a lot in Ruby, we don't want to use it as in. We don't want a method called method. It's like, yeah, just. Okay, so we've got that. It should, yeah, have the title, have that, and it should include the example. It's the example. Yeah, actually, anyway, sorry. So it should include I'm just going to do something. I should have that sort of JavaScript stuff, right? Which already exists. So if I go into my endpoint documenter, let's just make sure we can see this spec fail, fail, and pass. Okay, so this example is actually kind of crap. I'm there is a. I really hate the like begin. You know, like the sort of string format. I'm not sure if there's a way to get the indentation. Do sort of do it string by string. So that's going to be like the head. And then we want to go map over the attributes and document those. So attribute example. Dot map. You could say like call it an attribute, an example line. So actually what we want to do is we want to create